Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I am very excited to have my good friend Paradise here with me on the show. Paradise is a finely tuned channel who utilizes all the quote-unquote clairs and who can tune into any frequencies from the micro inner human to the multi-universes and the collectives existing in multidimensional planes. She acts as a self-mastery advisor for leaders, entrepreneurs, high-level creatives, innovators. Super excited to have you here. Hello, Paradise. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much, Brandon, for welcoming me and welcoming me to your community.
Yeah, this is great. And, we were supposed to originally do this, the recording yesterday, and we ended up going so deep into you doing what you do and giving me a long kind of reading. It ended up like, oh, we need to reschedule. So I was super appreciative of that. And, I just love your energy and the way that, things come through you. It's like every time Paradise, you guys can't see her, but every time she taps into anything multidimensionally, it's like 50% of the time, it's like a huge giggle and laugh that comes through after. So if you hear any of that, it's like she's definitely having fun doing what she does. So it's contagious. And but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Okay, so I gotta back up and start my cliche opener question before I have you laughing too much. And my cliche opener is this: you're in an elevator. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You have 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
My passion. My passion is, wow. Oh, there's so much love just bursting through my heart. So stand by.
And there it is, folks.
My passion is truly self-mastery, but it's beyond self-mastery. It is the love for humanity and really bringing and bridging the humanity that we live in this dimensional plane with these souls that we are. And just the passion of loving.
Yeah, I like it.
Literally awakening. So if I said it in 3 words, this is my company slogan: awakening paradise within. So that paradise is within you, and when you awaken the paradise within you, you awaken paradise throughout you and all around you. There you go.
Yeah, I just watched the show 1883, which is it's really like, wow, it's like an intense depiction of a bunch of people going across the open plains to like Oregon and the hardships that they faced. And yeah, there's the scene in the very last episode where it's like he finally arrives, and he's this Native American he comes across gives him directions to, this is a place where I played as a child. If you go here, there, kind of give him directions, and you'll find it's what's the word? They're searching for the word in the English language, and it was paradise. He's like, it's paradise there, and yeah, I won't give any more away about it, but it was like, and then what ends up happening there, and it's like, wow. So I thought of that too, because we had just scheduled to have this talk like the day before, and then I watched that episode, and I'm like, of course. So
Pure
leading us
alignment,
all,
pure alignment.
leading us all to paradise. So if you would, because your journey, knowing you personally, being personal friends with you, has, I know firsthand that your backstory and your journey has not always been, laughs and, roses and butterflies and rainbows. It's like you've been through some intense stuff and some intense stuff recently. So as far as your health, and so maybe you can just share whatever feels relevant to share in regards to your backstory and how you ended up here.
I appreciate it. So I'm going to provide two segments. One segment is how I got to be blessed by the gifts graced upon me and my divine destiny and of service. And then secondly, the highest upgrade that I've received yet.
It was a little bit of a disguise.
Oh, goddess. Okay, so number one, intensity is the flavor of this lifetime for me. And it is not one that is that I would necessarily recommend to the masses.
Yeah.
I apologize.
It's not for the faint of heart.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. So I had been, as I don't know if you've mentioned, but I had been meditating for at least 20 years. And just really, I just always had a calling. Actually, I'm going to back up just a teeny bit. I was awake the day I was born. Literally, I remember like an adult in a baby's body, being able to process and see and understand what the doctor and see my father smiling and just being held. So very, very awake. And as a 5 and 6 year old, my father and mother would come to me for counsel. So they would just, I think they unconsciously knew that I was a healer, and I would also do body work on them. And so then I also took on a lot of stuff. So within each, if I may say, within each physical family, there is at least one healer who helps to clear the ancestral lines of both the mother and father lines. And hello, here I am with that intensity. And so fast forward, basically there was a 10-year period. So I was an U.S. Air Force Officer Reserve. I was a director of nonprofits. I went to do consulting for conscious companies, or at least I thought. Always had an entrepreneur spirit, and all the while, my passion is what we already spoke of. And then there was a secretor within my career when I was like, oh, let me go into clinical psychology. That's how I'm going to save the world's children. And Oprah already opened the school. I'm like, damn you, Oprah, you already took my idea. And so what I didn't know was going to be a 10-year period of what I think many people may know is called shadow work. And this is a period where I became very reclusive, and I basically disappeared for very long periods of time from people. And during those times, there was a very long period where I was meditating on average 8 to 10 hours a day. And yes, and again, intensity is a flavor of my life. And that's where I learned a lot of different modalities, and lots of credit to all the self-masters living on earth in all varying degrees. And through that, through sitting through and being with and moving through and literally sweating through the human conditioning and every conscious thought or belief or pattern that I had taken on, I was able to transmute and transform. So if if I may humbly say, we have some gifts. I'm a veteran at transformation, bottom line. And I've transformed so many times and through this period. So is definitely not the faint of heart, because if you can imagine, if I'm meditating 8 to 10 hours a day, then how am I making money?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right.
And then my family's like, Paradise, you should be doing something else, but the personality is very stubborn and willful, and is like, oh, no, this is my path.
Yeah.
I just need to continue with it. And I didn't understand. I had to pave my own path. And now clearly I'm here, and I'm so grateful I did all that work, because it cleared the density. And do I need to define what density is?
Yeah, why don't you?
So density can be anything from a physical body. So it's matter. Density can be something like a belief pattern. Now, belief patterns can change. We can change beliefs. That's how we help people transform. Perceptions can also hold some density. Density can be emotions that are stuck in our physical tissues, right? Emotions are chemicals in our body. It's energy in our body. Density can also be something like cancer. Density can be incoherence. Whereas coherence is, we can get into the energetics that I can literally talk about a lot of things. Okay, so let me go back to what density is. And density is what I specialize in, is the awareness of our pain bodies. And so when we're aware of our pain bodies, that's actually a gift, which we can talk about in a little bit, because I want to complete these 2 segments. So that's what density is. And as we clear the density in our bodies, then our light bodies, which is like aligned above our, if you see the energy centers or chakras moving up your spine, the light bodies go and transcend, up through this universe. There's 14 I'm shaking because I'm tuning in. There's 14 expanding dimensional planes. We expanded into the 14 dimensional plane in February of 2021. And so the light bodies, then when we clear density, light bodies come into our physical body to anchor, which allows us more access to our soul's natural gifts. Yeah. Okay. So that's the completion of that. Fast forward, many upgrades and transformations. I had a lot, so blessed that a lot of different collectives from different universes and multidimensional planes, particularly the 12th dimensional Council of Light, has done a lot of work on me in the last 4 years to be of service. And because I am a person of integrity, I didn't want to be of service until I had mastered the gifts, as well as cleared most of the density, or, we're always a work in progress. Okay.
Sure.
That's first segment. Next segment. That was a long one.
So all good. So, yeah, one of the things, I don't know if you care to share at all about your sort of challenge on that journey. I know recently, I mean, you had something that happened pretty intense health-wise, and I don't know if you want to share or not, but the reason I ask, and if not, we can just skip right over. But I find it really interesting to see someone who's got such sort of I guess some would call extreme gifts. Like if you're around Paradise and she's tuning in, it can be very physical. It can be very, there's just a lot of energy flowing through her, obviously. And it's like her being plugged into a light socket. And so I personally find it really interesting, someone like yourself with, sort of this unique level of access, to then have something that is so like profound happening with your brain and, all that. So it's like, it's kind of like, interesting that would happen to someone like you. Do you care to share what you just went through?
I would love to share this. I'm going to say 2 keywords. Okay, I don't know if it's maybe there's more than 2. 2 key phrases is, one is divine destiny. Divine destiny. And the second one is I literally had a brain tumor taken out of my frontal lobe, so my short-term memory.
Well, that says it all right there, right? And it's like,
all right, so it was divine destiny. Oh, I remember it. Okay,
it's great.
Now I remember.
It's so funny.
Divine destiny, and I'm going to share a very personal experience through which I will basically gave me a higher level and a higher and deeper level of understanding of the soul's relationship, the soul that we are, because we are souls. We are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the emotions, we're not even the personality. We are the soul. And so I experienced, and I think I'm jumping ahead, but that's okay.
No, that's okay.
Flow is flow. I experienced what I would define. It's not the standard. So I didn't flatline, but I would define as 4 near-death experiences after the week after my brain surgery. So now I'm going to go backtrack and I'm going to explain about.
Now, and this all happened recent, like you and I met a few years ago at a taping of Optimistic, if I recall, and then live taping, a bunch of people here. We connected for a bit. Don't see you for a couple years, and you've went through, finding out you had a brain tumor and having it removed.
I really appreciate this segue. You're amazing, Brandon. Okay, so this is great. So basically, I had launched Light of Paradise as the company, my company, and I launched it before COVID hit. I had begun to experience fatigue, and I was unaware, and pain. And I didn't realize, because I have such a high pain tolerance. I didn't realize that I had pain. Talk about being just like rewind and say, oh, I'm an expert in pain bodies.
Yeah,
right. See my own pain.
Right.
Hello, reflection. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward. So I basically was only seeing clients through Zoom, my one-on-one sessions. And then in between then, I was just so fatigued. Now, if you know me personally, I am a very, very active person, physically active person, because I have so much energy, not just non-physical, but also physical. Box, samba, workout, I lift weights, 5 or 6 days a week. And all of that it just disappeared. And I've never experienced that in my life. Wow. I started getting double vision, migraines, day and night. And a couple of dear friends of mine kept on pushing me to get healthcare.
Yeah.
Admittedly, so I had not signed up for healthcare because that was very Eastern medicine. Yeah. And it finally got so painful that I signed up for healthcare, and it accelerated, and I had to really back off from. I had so many clients. I was working basically from 10 a.m. to midnight, 6 days a week in all of 2020. And not to get too much into detail, but I not only do one-on-one sessions, but I can also move non-physical energy. That includes, and because of all the clairs, I became somewhat of a living exorcist, which for me, I am such a, I get spooked out even watching horror films, but when it comes to the actual thing, I'm really good at that.
Right.
Anyway, so that amplified the fatigue, and I backed off from that. So bottom line, on 11/11, talk about a gateway. On 11/11 of 2021, I got my MRI. Immediately, I got a phone call from my PCP, my primary care physician. He said, "Hey, Paradise, you should go see the Pacific Neuroscience Institute. There's a neurosurgeon there. They got something to share because you got a tumor." He wasn't really okay, thank you so much, PCP. He said it very casually.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. So I walk over there, and I think it took me maybe even 3 weeks ago to still process that this has happened. But fast forward, I go to see Dr. Daniel Kelly and his team. Wow, did I win the lottery with him? He actually specializes in, excuse me if I just make a shout out, in minimally invasive neurosurgery. So if you actually look at me right now, it looks like I didn't have brain surgery. But he showed me the tumor, and it's literally growing, had been growing. So my neurologist says it could have been growing in my head since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
And it's meningioma, and so it's cerebral spinal fluid. It's not the actual brain tissue. Hence, I'm very cognizant and very aware, right? But had created a lot of swelling in the brain. And they took me right into surgery the week after. I learned on 11/11, and on 11/19 of 2021, we went right into surgery. I didn't even have time to process. I had a lot of business to take care of. I didn't know if I would be coherent to complete some business and prepare and whatnot. And then, so now I'm going to jump right into what happened after. So great news is benign, some very large, almost upgraded to a grade 2 because it's that large.
Wow.
Behind where the sixth energy center is, or the third eye, which is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
And then the week after, so the surgery was flying colors. I was able to hang out with rock star neurosurgeons, and it's so amazing to be in their presence. Although I was knocked out in anesthesia, it's still cool.
Yeah, all right.
And then they discharged me a day early because it was successful. There's still a little brain tissue left. Hence, I need to get MRIs every 3 months. May need to go into radiation therapy to get the last bit. We don't know. I may meditate that out. And
sounds better.
True story. And and so now we're going to get into the 4 near-death experiences.
Yeah.
Can we
Okay.
jump into that?
Yeah. Share whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Okay. So, wow. Whew. So I had been sleep deprived for 8 to 9 days prior to brain surgery, through brain surgery, and after brain surgery, just because of the anxiety, and not just anxiety. I think more so, I'm a very highly focused businesswoman. I was like, I've got to write all of this stuff down and complete all these things before this thing happens, because it's I'm the sole business owner. I don't have family in California who lives here. So it's me, and so I needed to prepare. So these 4 near-death experiences, I talk about the sleep deprivation. I literally only had about an hour of sleep post-brain surgery per day. And now, if you can imagine being drugged and having trauma in that frontal lobe. So the frontal lobe, as most of us are aware of, is the command center, the emotions and speech, and behavioral inhibition center, whatnot, right? And so what would happen is I would practice my breath work. I did apply my meditation, and my body would be in a state of relaxation. And the moment that I would actually rest and sleep, my soul, the soul that I am, there's a difference between astral projecting, and there's a difference between the soul exiting the body.
Yeah.
Astral projecting for let me ask Total Dimensional Council Light. Total Dimensional Council Light, could you please assist? Hi. Hi. Astral projection different from, yeah. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to confirm. You know, I don't know everything. They tell me stuff. All right. So astral projecting, we're projecting out through your third eye. And so that's different. But when your soul exits your body, it's like samadhi, where Paramahansa Yogananda's guru was able to exit his body and then come back, right? So that a lot of very high level yogis can do that. This wasn't voluntary. What would happen is the soul would get out, and literally in that moment, I would choke on my tongue, or I was being choked by, I apologize to say this, I'm not into the dramas of dark and light, and I never have been. I was being choked by entities. And I think, you know, if this were, I used to be in the Air Force, so if this were like strategic war, this is like, hey, yo, paradise is gonna create some really great things in 2022. So let's take her out now. So that happened 4 times. And so I had, those were times when that happened. I had a 911 call. One of my dear clients actually passed on, and everybody called me because I also did sessions with them. This was 3 days after surgery, and his soul was so attached to me because he felt like such family to me, that he was pulling the soul that I am out of my body, that it triggered emotional seizures. And my roommate had to call 911, and no one knew what was happening. And so that was one of them. Other 2 cases where I would take 2 steps and then I would have a seizure and I'd have to go to the ER, or I was looking to use a restroom and need to go to the ER. That's a little different from these near-death experiences, but I'm just sharing with you kind of the
intensity.
True story. So the gift that I'm going to repeat, and then Brandon, if you may come in and help guide this conversation, is the gift is, wow. When I talk about divine destiny, definitely divine destiny. That is so deep. I will just write that in a book. And I'm channeling a series of books already. And I didn't know much about divine destiny until this experience. And what I can say in short is that there is divine order to everything, including a brain tumor. In someone like me. And I am so grateful. It's almost miraculous that I had gifts prior to brain surgery.
Did you find that your gifts opened up more after the tumor being received and removed?
Good job, Brandon. Oh my goddess. Explosion.
Wow.
Talk about upgrade. Your introduction was very, very well spoken. I'm all the clairs, and the clair that really opened, because we took out the from the tumor from the 6th energy center. Wow, the clairvoyance to degrees. And also when the tumor is taken out, my business acumen, let's just talk about being a human. My business acumen, so much better, because now there's less swelling. And then I had lost so much memory through the last few years. I forgot about people. I forgot about books that I read. All that's coming back. That's kind of the fun part about recovering from brain surgery. And then the ability to channel. I channeled prior, but it's so smooth, and I'm actually able to channel at such I went to the galactic level. Okay, I'm gonna do my grounding word, hamburger.
You just talk about it and it like opens up for you, huh?
It's instantaneously. And so now I'm able to, it's more streamlined, see, hear, feel, receive data and information through the frequency, I feel like I want to paint these universes, multi-universes, and even the collective beings. It's just such a gift, and upgrades continue to happen for everyone.
Well, okay, so there's so many directions we can go with this, and one of the things that I'm curious about is like, so you sat down with me yesterday, and you can tap into a lot about me, how many lifetimes, for example, what dimensional plane is sort of my origin, or other, not just me. I'm using me as an example because we did it together yesterday, but I'm curious, like, how that is perceived, the best that you can describe it. I mean, like you were saying that my origins were the 33rd dimension. Is that right? Okay. So what happens, and what do you see, and like, what can you tell me, and what can you, I mean, just share whatever you can about some of that,
Absolutely. Okay. Just to clarify, we're talking about my being able to tune in and perceive, not other people's perceptions of me while I'm tuning in.
Right.
Okay, good. Let me center. I get really giggly when I go into higher dimensions. Okay, so what I perceive, it's instantaneous, and my energy is lightning. So first, I'm gonna do it right now. Okay. All right. So the first thing I see is I see the universe, which universe we're in. I can go directly into the dimensional plane. Now, I'd like to say that there is no hierarchy in any dimension, and any universe, in any galaxy. Everything is literally made of the same life force energy. Everything is so divinely ordered and special. So, like to say that
there's no better,
and there's no better, and there's just all truly love and equal, and everything serves a purpose. So, tuning in with you, seeing the 33rd dimensional plane, I immediately just know there's a clear cognizance. I just know 33rd, instant. And then I see colors, and I see beings, and I feel them, and I can also hear them. And when I tune in with them, I don't know why I do it, but I do it anyway. I introduce myself. They mostly already know me.
Right. I'd imagine.
And so then I can ask them questions, and because I'm developed, like, if we can say, I'm a very finely tuned antenna. With that finely tuned antenna, the more precise the question, the more precise the answer.
Gotcha.
And then I also can tune into multi-collective. So I can ask your plane. So if we're talking about the 33rd dimensional plane is in a different universe. Brandon is from the 33rd. My Oversouls from the 22nd. It's home. And every dimensional plane has a purpose. So Brandon's 33rd dimensional plane's purpose are all the creatives. And it's so amazing. And so I tuned in and I asked, how many human beings have oversouls from the 33rd dimensional plane? And I giggle. I mean, so sorry. This is Just give me a moment.
It's like the laughing Buddha, like this will be the laughiest episode, which I'm very
so
excited about.
sorry.
No, don't apologize. I mean,
Okay,
literally,
I'm
it's
so
contagious.
sorry.
So everyone is smiling every time you do it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. There are 33% from on Earth human beings.
Oh wow. So it's a big amount of us then.
Well, it's a huge amount, but there's different levels of mastery, right?
Gotcha.
So the oversouls come in. I mean, oversouls are in a human being. Oversoul down to a soul group, down to a soul, down to your manager, who is the higher self, down to the human being. Now, it depends on whether the free will of that human being chooses to develop, and that's also part of divine destiny. For example, Brandon, you are a very high level, high tuned, self-developed, self-mastered, and we continue to self-master 33rd dimensional soul. And we're all equal, right?
Yeah.
So
cool.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah. Let's see. So do people find themselves, more drawn to people from their, obviously we're friends and connecting, and you're saying that your origin is the 22nd, mine's the 33rd. do you find that people are drawn more to, it's like this person's from home, it's more like a family tree kind of thing?
Really, I love your questions, Brandon. I really love your questions. And absolutely, I'm going to clarify a couple of things, okay?
Okay.
So one is when we're from, I'm going to go macro, then I'm going to go micro to the dimensional plane. So macro, when oversouls are from the same universe, Brandon, we're in the same universe. There is connection. And if we go into Carolyn Mrs. kind of soul contracts, where we naturally have an affinity to help one another.
Yeah.
Through our gifts, through our purpose. So you're a very high level creative. The purpose of 22nd dimensional plane. We are what I do, which is multi-dimensional travelers, and we are educators.
Cool.
And so yes, naturally drawn, whether you're conscious of it or not. And now I'm going to go a little bit more micro.
Cool.
Okay, so the micro in the dimensional plane is when you meet an individual, a human being who has an oversoul from your same dimensional plane, it literally feels like home.
Oh.
And for me, I can speak of my personal experience, and well, I can only speak from my direct and personal experience. Is I do have a divine love who is from the 22nd, and we communicate telepathically, and we shared a lot of soul's growth and lessons together on Earth. He has lived on Earth much longer for me. I mean, many more lifetimes than me. 10 years. Let me tune into real quick. 10. Yep, 10. And me only 2. So that's why I'm very young.
Gotcha.
And so we have that affinity. And oftentimes when it comes to the same dimensional plane, I see that it works with our mission together. And so it could be divine loves. And then I don't want to get into so much about the twin flames talk, because I see that the collective has attached a lot of human perceptions on what a twin flame is and the dramas of it, like a telenovela. And that is not necessarily what that is. And not everybody, does everybody have a twin flame? Not everybody has a twin flame. So that's for a different discussion for a different time.
Yeah.
But
Maybe another
your
time.
twin flame and your divine love would be from the same dimensional plane. Make sense?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you had said that. Did you say your divine love or twin flame has been 10? Which did you say he was? And maybe you. Yeah. Well, I guess. You don't want to go fully down that path of, maybe you can give the quick just definition. We don't have to go deep down that, but the difference between the two from your perception.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And I appreciate that you said from my perception. Mm-hmm. Divine love is, I'm just feeling him now. He's so amazing. Mm-hmm. Divine love is, there's always going to be lessons, whether you're soulmate is like a generality. Soulmates can be from a soul group, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from the same dimensional plane. Let's just make that difference.
Got it.
We're learning the same lessons, right? Okay, cool. Now we're going to go into a divine love. A divine love, there are lessons. And as we grow through those lessons together, there's such beauty and harmony in general when we grow individually and master ourselves. And then there's such beauty and harmony. Now, and so that's like, as a collective, we are one, and just in general. And then now I'm going to go into twin flames. Not everyone is a twin flame. And that doesn't mean that we're any more special or another. The mission of the twin flame, especially on Earth. So a twin flame basically is what you can visualize. If there's an oversoul, like this big particle of light. And then let me just focus on sorry, stand by. I just got sucker punched in my my solar plexus. When there's a lot of energy there, I tuned into my twin flame. Whew, hello, hi, okay, hamburger. Okay, so
hamburgers are her safe word, which is like, okay, too much, chill.
Thank you.
That's so funny
because I don't eat that. All right, so so much fire I'm feeling right now. Okay, so twin flame is like we're the same exact particle of light. That then becomes like, if there was an embryo that splits into two. So it's a particle of light that splits into two. And we experience different multi-universes and experiences. And ultimately, let's say the galactic planes, everything is just all about expansion. It's all about expansion. Expanding consciousness. So when twin flames, they don't always incarnate the same lifetime, but ultimately twin flames are kind of a yin and yang, and also share the same mission. Now, as each individual masters their own divine femininity and divine masculinity and balance within themselves, it becomes a lot more harmonious. And on Earth, when twin flames come together, especially now with so much disruption, twin flames are aligning. And so it's more than romance. There's going to be ridiculous chemistry and connection and instant recognition and just knowingness, but it's more than romance. And the same thing with the divine love. There's more of, we're here on a mission, and we're here on a mission to create and to serve the collective humanity. Is that
yeah, it's great. That's great. And I know you had said in for some clarity, you had said yesterday when you and I sat down together, that my twin flame is not on this planet currently. So does everyone have, when you said not everyone has a twin flame, does that mean in general, or not everyone has a twin flame that's incarnated here on Earth? So you know what I mean? Like, is there someone who just period doesn't have a twin flame anywhere in existence?
Yeah. So stand by. I'm going to double clarify, because I love double clarifying. I'm going to tune into the Akashic Collective. Oh, Akashic, I love you so much. Akashic works in tandem, and it's more than records. It's like a university, and it's gold. They work in tandem with the 22nd dimensional plane. Thank you so much. Akashic, hi. I'm speaking with them. Can we clarify? Does everyone have? Yep, I thought so. Right? Yeah. And is there a purpose for that? Stand by. I'm doing the shake. The Harlem Shake is what someone called. Is there a purpose why there's only a select number of twin flames? Okay, they're nodding my head. Let me just receive information and I shall share with you. Okay, cool. Right, tell you now.
Okay.
Wonderful. So no, not everybody has a twin flame.
Okay.
And just as I described to you, intensity is a flavor of my life. And there's also a purpose to every being. And there's a purpose to every type of animal. There is a purpose to every type of soul. And so the soul that we
doesn't
are,
make sense for some souls to have that set up.
That's not their sole purpose.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. So I'm also curious, you talked about you've had two human lives. You said your divine love has had 10. You said that I've had 11. And I'm just curious, which is pretty cool. Was pretty cool that, my life path number is 11 actually. So I'm curious when you perceive that, are you seeing all receiving information about all 11 lives, for example, or is it just like, oh, here's the number, here's the information, and then you have the option to go deeper, or is it like, I'm just curious how much information was perceived when you tap into that.
I love your curiosity. Thank you for asking.
I'm very curious.
And I learn as I do this. This is why it's so fun for me. And so the claircognizance is instant.
Yeah.
And so when we ask that specific question, they just give me the number right away.
Got it.
And I don't use my brain. Hence, I was able to serve clients 5 weeks after brain surgery because I literally don't use my brain.
Right.
Other than translating through human language and my personality. My personality is for a particular audience, younger, because clearly I'm younger, a younger personality. And so, and if I could go deeper, yes, and also what the 12th dimensional council light is coming in to assist and communicate a message. Yeah. And this is also something that I share with my clients. Now, as far out as I can go with channeling and telling you about all this awesome stuff, right? Space, that's cool. And souls, what's really important is being in the here and now in the physical body. Yep. And applying ourselves, because consciousness is also in the physical human body. There's a purpose to being a human on Earth, which there is a polarity of density through light and gradients in between. So now 12th dimensional council of light is saying, and this is the way I work with my clientele, is that unless the information serves you to know, it's unnecessary.
Yep.
So often in a session, when there is density we're working through, boom, I will receive the experience that has repeated a pattern and what we're clearing in that moment. Gotcha. And something, for example, I had experienced, I'll tell you something very, very personal. So there are 6 core wounds of humanity. I'm sorry if I'm getting too much into teacher mode. Please stop me.
No, there's no, on this show, there's no too much teacher mode.
I apologize.
Thing. Anything that is helpful or beneficial or interesting to just know is all game here.
Okay. So there are 6 core wounds of humanity. Each soul has signed up to transmute, transform, transcend one of those 6 core wounds. And because my brain is, I gotta look it up real quick. Stand by. So there are 6 core wounds of humanity, and every soul who incarnates on Earth has chosen to transmute, transform, transcend these the main core wound. And I will list the 6 core wounds. 1 is fear, or the experience of contraction. 2 is anger, denial, rage. 3 is shame, or worthlessness. 4 is rejection. Woo!
Woo.
5 is guilt for past wrongs. 6 is separation. Now, we can experience all of those experiences, but there's one main one. Now, what I've experienced through my direct work with people is that when we experience our core wound, there's a why is me, or, that type of experience or perception. And it's not so that you can live in that experience or pain. It's so that you can move through it and ultimately open your heart more and see, instead of separation, come more into union and compassion. Make sense?
Yeah.
So what was I saying before the 6 core wounds of humanity, Brandon? Do you remember?
You were talking about, I had asked you about how much you perceive about other lifetimes, and then it had led to you saying,
Got it. Got it. So then we were talking about what is applicable.
Yeah.
So, right. So let's say, and I was sharing about actually a personal experience. This is a personal experience where I had experienced through most of my life in this incarnation, fear and anxiety in shining my light. So I hid so much and I disappeared so much. And this happened in 2019, yes, where I had 3 consecutive dreams of being massacred.
Wow.
It's a strong word, as a light being in other dimensional planes. Not to get into the dramas of light and dark. And that, for me, really helped me with the awareness that, that is the reason why I've been so afraid of coming out and shining my light. And then that's when the 12th dimensional council light upgraded me and cleared that karmic density.
Yeah. That seems like that's a real pattern with a lot of people. This idea of, scared to speak their truth in this life because they have a memory. I mean, I think of I forget which book, Dr. Joe Dispenza had a full recollection of a lifetime. I want to say it was in Rome, where he was a philosopher and teacher. And then he was put on public torture, where he was forced to renounce everything that he had said, in a public setting. And then he lived because he renounced it because of the pain of whatever was happening. And then he, lived as a recluse the rest of his life in shame, And so I've just heard that story a lot of, are you people who tap into, a lot of women tapping into, like, feeling like perhaps they lived, or were labeled as a witch. And, so it seems like that's really a theme for a lot of people.
So much so.
Yeah.
So much so. And even pain. So my core wound is the neglect or rejection. So let me tune into my mother and ask her higher self if I'm able to share this with the world. Okay, well, she loves me. Thank you so much, Mom. I appreciate you. She's supporting me. Thank you to her higher self. She aborted me the first round.
Whoa.
And I came back the second round.
Wow.
And so when I was born, I felt immediate guilt and shame for even existing.
Wow.
And being the second lifetime on this earth, just having, and especially, I hope this relates to a lot of the new souls that are coming in the teenagers who commit suicide. Not to get too much into a lot of topics, we can obviously talk about a lot of things. When there's new souls that are coming into earth, me being I would say a younger soul on this earth, although I'm very old soul from,
Yeah.
yeah, we got that right. So there's a feeling where we feel very foreign or misunderstood, or and for me it's almost an oxymoron how I'm able to tune in and feel people and understand people to such great depths, and at the same time feel like this is not home for me. And then also paired with the pain body, core wound of neglect, and part of the lesson with the brain tumor, prior to the brain tumor, I would hide away, not only because of I cleared the density about hiding away with the light. There's still some left. Clearly now, post-brain surgery, I'm like, hello, light of paradise. Literally, and company name. And I'm out there on social media now. But going back to what I'm saying is, what was I saying, Brandon?
Well, yeah, let's see. You said a lot of things. So I think it's this whole path of understanding that we each have a core wound. I mean, I instantly tap into, oh, I wonder what mine is, and I'm sure others, we all have little bits of all of it, right? And then you have probably something that's the biggest theme for you to transmute.
Yeah. So yeah, we have the biggest thing to transmute. I was sharing a personal experience, so that this can be neglect, and I tend to attract clients who share some of the same core wounds, which is natural.
Yeah,
and you would also, human beings would attract one another who also share the same core wounds, but may reflect the opposite responses to it, if that makes sense. Like an abandonment. So one way may be like a runner, and one may be an over attacher.
Got it. Is
that a word?
That makes sense. So I know you've referenced the pain body a lot, and you have talked. We talked a little bit yesterday about awareness of our pain bodies, and how putting on your teacher hat, how can people, become aware of their pain body and just bring greater awareness so that they can transmute their own blockages.
Thank you. There are multiple ways. So one is awareness of your breath. Awareness of your breath. If you are, and it's really awareness, if you're holding your breath, there's protection there in your third energy center, also known as the solar plexus. That's your power center. If you are holding your breath and contracting, so it's a physical sensation, in your second energy center or your lower belly, that is where you feel not safe. And so the second energy center, also known as your sacral chakra, is where we process emotions. And that's also our interpersonal relationships. It's also our creative source energy. And it is also the space where our many inner children live. And all of this is together. So wherever you feel contracted or tight in your physical body, so now we're getting to somatics, right? Like I think that's a word. If you feel tightness in your chest, there can be holding there. And so what I'm just going to walk us through. First, be aware of the breath. Are we holding? Where are we feeling the tension in our physical body? And we would take a deep breath in through the nose and relax the lower belly, right? And then we would identify where it is. We'll go through one by one, where it is in our body. Then from there, I would guide a client through a guided meditation. Well, I'd say, okay, let's look at that. What emotion do you feel? And there was the layers of emotions. So emotions are neither right nor wrong. They're just guideposts. So maybe initially it's like, oh, I feel anger. And then below anger, so anger is an emotion that is a guidepost to maybe a boundary being crossed or a need not being met. And so then beneath that anger can be sadness or disappointment. And then I'm like, okay, let's go even deeper. Is there an emotion underneath that? And so we'll go through the emotions, and then we feel. So these are all actually technically pain bodies, but what's the most important about these pain bodies is we go deeper into what is. So let's say we got into disappointment and sadness, and I'd ask, well, what are you sad or disappointed about? And then we'd allow that space to speak and voice itself as we breathe. I'm guiding through breath work, right?
Cool.
And then at the core of that, what's the most important is what perception, what belief pattern, what need, what boundary, what trauma exists at that core. And it's at that specific point where we begin transforming, transmuting, and releasing.
Yeah.
And we transform those beliefs, those perceptions, and the energy and the frequency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bringing it to the surface, and then working through it and shining a different light or perspective on it, obviously allows it to be released, right?
Yeah, and what I've experienced with clients is that there's so much fear in allowing oneself to experience the emotions or the traumas, the fear of being trapped or getting lost in it. And what I like to say is, we feel it not to relive it.
Yeah.
We feel it to release it. And so there may be a brief moment where it's intense.
Yep.
But as we do the breath and as we actually get to the core of it, and it's not sandcastles and rainbows when we're growing and releasing.
Yeah.
But there is an other side to that, and it's sustainable versus, let's say, escaping through drugs or escaping through busyness or whatever the human conditioning is.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm curious, as a channel, you tune into multiple collectives, which you've even done a little bit, here and there. I love the way in your case it's just kind of like you're like fast and on the spot. It's like, oh, hold on, let me tune in here. I'm gonna ask a question. Okay, back out, got the answer. I like your process. It's really a unique one, and I'm curious if there's any of the collectives that you tend to tune into that have anything in particular that they would want to channel or bring through you to this particular audience, right? They know every ear that's going to hear this, and I always think in terms of like, oh, everyone who hears this episode is in its own way a family, right? It's a connection. It's like these different levels of connectivity, and so it has its own unique resonance, right? So I'm just curious if there's anything that maybe wants to come through.
Absolutely. And so 2 collectives are coming through right now. And I'm very emotive. So you can't see me, but I'm a little teary-eyed because I can feel. And so the 12th dimensional council of light, may I define them first? It's the 12th dimension. It does not mean that there are 12 beings. It is a round table of multi-collectives from multi-universes and multi-dimensional planes who have come together to assist humanity. So that's why they work with me a lot. And Akashic comes through, not only because of the records, but because they also are like a university and also send souls to their next destination. If we transition beyond the 4th dimensional plane. So they're coming through, standby. So this is the biggest message. There is a lot of disruption, a lot of pain, a lot of loss. Within humanity and Mother Gaia. So Mother Gaia is comprised of humanity, the animal and plant kingdom, and there's other collectives. And what they wanted, so Mother Gaia is a being herself, and she is undergoing a transformation Mother Gaia is increasing her frequency. You may have heard of 3D Earth and 5D Earth. So there's transformation happening. I'm going to speak on a few things and I'll do my best to stay focused. We're experiencing, as part of Mother Gaia, we are experiencing increased frequency. And with that, what's being illuminated, talking about prior to this, pain bodies. The pain of Mother Gaia, of humanity, of what has been silent and under the surface has been arising and has come to surface. And it needs to first be illuminated before it can be transformed. And so that is the process through which we are experiencing as a human collective, as an animal and plant collective, as just Mother Gaia. And so I'm going to say one thing first, which is, yes, there's a lot of loss and there is a lot of challenges and a lot of disruption happening in this world today. And what I do want to say is those souls who are transitioning have as a soul level agreed to, we have free will, but if we don't increase our frequency and then we transition because we can't keep up with the frequency of Mother Gaia, that's one. So the old paradigms and the old infrastructures of, let's say, not to get into too much detail, is the dysfunctional masculine and dysfunctional feminine into the divine masculine, into the divine feminine, and even the way of from the patriarchy to the not matriarchy, but more of a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're getting at, we as the collective speak through me, is that more than just keeping hope, because hope sometimes can feel empty. Have the faith, have the faith, have the faith that as we experience this disruption and the pain, we are actually even closer to our souls, because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your socioeconomic status is. We all share what pain feels like. And you know what the gift of that is? The gift of that is we then come together and unite through compassion. And we become more of a union and a collective. That was also part of the reason why we experienced the pandemic, the COVID, which means, if I may give that, is we share one breath. That's the reason why it's transferred through the breath. And that was the awareness of it. And part of the lockdown was you cannot run away with distractions. You got to face yourself. And so that is also part of the lesson of the humanity and the collective. And so through this disruption, just know that we get to come together. And just as on an individual micro level, we move through density into light, on a macro humanity level, and also Mother Gaia, the plant animal kingdom, we are also transmuting that density into light. And just know that we are growing higher, and light always wins. Light always wins. In darkness, you light a match, and guess what? Light's there. And so just don't forget that light within you, and really, really focus on, and this is really important, every individual, doesn't matter what level of awareness you are, focus on staying in an open heart space and non-judgment, because when you're truly in your heart space, there is no separation. Doesn't matter where we're coming from in our political beliefs. In our heart space, we are one. And the next thing is we will come more into unity. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. And there is so much grace and there's so much gratitude, and I can almost cry from that gratitude, and understanding how precious life is. And this is coming from personal experience, from having experienced a brain surgery 3 months ago and having those 4 near-death experiences, how much love and how much gratitude I experience in every moment. And if we can focus on that gratitude and love and that unity, we can together as from an individual into a collective level, really, really overcome the disruptions of the densities that was the old. And I promise you, at least the timeline that I'm on, I promise you there is the gifts, our innovators start coming in, rainbow and light souls start coming in, new innovations, new technologies are coming in, and there will be a golden renaissance period. So just know that. And if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, and it will happen when we come back as well. So just know that there's more.
Oh, thank you for that. That's a wonderful share and a wonderful way to kind of wind down here. And yeah, this has been amazing. For people who want to connect with you, and yeah, I mean, I know you're working on books, and a podcast is down the road in the future, and you get a lot of things going on. Maybe you can just share the best way for people to connect.
Yeah, so in the immediate, I've been putting out more into my Instagram, which was one of my fears of being out there. And that's where I've been posting more about some immediate services. One of which I'm launching, it's called Q&A with Paradise. And so it's monthly. And basically, you can hear about what I do on this podcast, but it's really an experience firsthand. So participants who join can experience firsthand, and I can tune in with any person and answer questions and also channel and offer tools of empowerment. And so that will be monthly. The first one is free, so you can try it out. And if you'd like to continue to join, you'll see more information there. It will be posted on my Instagram. My Instagram is I am living paradise. So IAM LIVING PARADISE. And then the other space that I'm updating is my website, where you can also access more of my information, like my services, if you want to do one-on-ones, and blog and books to come and podcasts, which will also be shared on IG and soon YouTube. My website is lightofparadise.com. And awesome. There you go.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Paradise, you are such a brilliant light, and such a honor to connect with you. One other thing before, well, couple questions I have left as we sign off here. One is I didn't ask you. I just realized right now I didn't ask you a story of synchronicity or serendipity or a positive paranormal story, which is kind of like my go-to. Give me good story time. Although you've shared a lot about your personal experience, and your whole life is a paranormal experience, and from one perspective. So, I would let you off the hook. But if there's any story of, super inspiring story,
it's short.
Great. Okay, great.
It's very short.
Okay.
So because I'm from the 22nd dimensional plane, this was the first time I was getting an EEG in the ER after a seizure. And so while I was on the EEG being guided, whenever a baby is born, music plays. And so not only, so my EEG reader, his name is David. Hi, David. David called out the time. So there was 2 twinkles. So a twinkle is 2 babies. So those are twins, 2. And then he called out the time. It's 2:22.
Wow.
And then my phone, if you know, my ringtone is actually my voice. I do weird things that make me self-amused. My text message ringtone is my voice, and it says success. And so at 2:22, twins were born, and then my phone goes off and says success.
Success. That's hilarious. It's funny because I was flying on 222 22 a few weeks ago, and I was flying to Austin, and they came on the loudspeaker and said, okay, today's flight from LA is we're going to be 2 hours and 22 minutes. And I'm like, what? Get out of here. It was crazy. So, yeah, 2222. Well, thank you for coming in and sharing all of your magic. You're such a gift. And all of you out there for tuning in. I do have one final question for you, and it is this. In 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life according to Paradise?
To live paradise from within and without, throughout. That's it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of you tuning your beautiful brainwaves and incredible hearts. Until next time, journey well.
Thank you, Brandon.
Also, before we sign off, I wanted to remind you to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can find the book and unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.